No penalty for Cory LaJoie. We're going to have some tire options at Richmond, what that entails. And Daniel Suarez is going racing in Brazil. Let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, first things first. It's being reported no penalty for Cory LaJoie. See this post from Sirius XM Satellite Radio on Twitter. Don't believe it was intentional, but we'll certainly go through and do our due diligence to make sure that is correct. NASCAR Cup Series Managing Director Brad Moron on the Cory LaJoie Kyle Busch incident on Sunday at Pocono. And yes, I know his last name is Moran, but you've got to be a moron to think that that wasn't on purpose. Like, I don't know. I get the other side of it. Oh, Kyle Busch checked up and Cory LaJoie didn't have time to get in there. That is such a lie. That is cap. That is absolute nonsense. Cory LaJoie knew what he was doing. He threw it in there. He was way too low. He came back up. He wrecked Kyle Busch. He did it on purpose. He's trying to avoid a fine and a penalty. I get that. But he did it on purpose. Like, you can make the argument, and I've seen the other argument for fair and, you know, whatever. I want to give the other perspective, but I just don't believe it. Cory LaJoie was pissed off. He did it on purpose. He wrecked Kyle Busch. And then after the fact, he was like, oh, crap, I wrecked a bunch of other guys too. So I better pretend like it was an accident. I better pretend like I'm sorry. I better do all this stuff so that the other people don't get mad. Not only that, but not to mention the social media backlash. Cory LaJoie was all Kyle Busch blocked me twice. That's why I did that. Then he saw the social media backlash, and then all of a sudden Cory LaJoie was like, oh, I didn't mean to wreck him and stuff like that. So let's just call it like it is. Cory LaJoie did it on purpose. He saw the social media backlash, and then he was like, oh, I didn't do it on purpose. And NASCAR is not going to fine him or suspend him because A, he works for NASCAR as a podcaster, and B, they can't prove it. Like, you can't actually prove it. It's going to be super hard to prove that he did it on purpose, but common sense and the naked eye tells you that he got pissed off and wrecked him on purpose. This via Alejandro Alvarez. NASCAR officials announced Tuesday that this summer's Cup Series event at Richmond Raceway will have 2 Goodyear tire choices available to teams. The procedural change for the August 11th Cookout 400 on USA at 6 p.m. at the Virginia Short Track comes after an audition during last month's NASCAR All-Star Race, a non-points event held at North Wilkesboro Speedway. This application will be first in a points-paying race. So I do like the fact that this is going to be in a points-paying race because what I think we didn't see, I don't think the North Wilkesboro experiment was as successful as people wanted it to be, but part of the reason for that is you had those short segments because it was an all-star race. You didn't get necessarily a really long run to have the tire fall off actually mean something. When you do it here at Richmond, you're going to have plenty of time to have that tire fall off, at least in the last stage, be a significant factor. So you are going to have some legitimate tire strategy, whereas the North Wilkesboro race, the segments were too short. The second thing is, in this Richmond race, I don't think that they're going to have the tires necessarily dictated what you have to run during what points or another. Like, that was a big issue with North Wilkesboro. You had to start on a certain tire. You had to change to a certain tire at a certain time. So that will be taken away. You won't have to do that. You'll have more freedom. Like, hopefully they'll let them qualify on whatever tire they want to qualify on, and hopefully they'll let them run whatever tire they want to run. Article goes on to say teams will use 2 types of Goodyear rubber on Richmond's 400 lapper, a softer option tire with the reward for more short-term grip balanced against the risk of less long-term durability, and a baseline prime tire that provides a more long-lasting ride with potentially less grip as it's a harder compound. Competition officials indicated teams will be allotted 6 sets of prime tires and 2 sets of option tires for the race at the 0.7 mile track, 3/4 mile track, whatever you want to call it, including 1 prime set carried over from qualifying. Teams will also have an extended practice session with 1 set of each type available to use during that 45-minute stint. The availability of just 2 sets of option tires over the course of 400 laps is expected to place a premium on the strategy element for when teams might opt to deploy them. So the option tire during the race, you're only going to have 2 sets of them, so I would expect to see them on the back half of the race, most likely, unless a team just needs some track position or something to make something happen there. But definitely, if the tire is significantly faster, you're going to see it used as that last set of tires, right? You would imagine that would be the last set of tires if it becomes a short run like that. They would want to save it for that situation like that. So I think it's going to be a good strategy there. I would like to see one more set of option tires given to the teams so that you can spread them out throughout the race, because like it says in this article, there's only a 45-minute practice. Now, maybe you don't use that tire in the 45-minute practice, which would be risky, and you see what the other teams do. This is a situation where it's really big to have some teammates, right? Like if you have a teammate, you can send the teammate out there in the 45-minute practice. They can practice on the option tire. You can practice on the regular tire. You combine notes, get it together. So it's going to help the bigger teams for sure. But either way it goes, it's good that NASCAR is actually letting the teams decide what they're going to do with the tires instead of telling them what time they have to run the tire and stuff like that. So that's going to be a big improvement from the North Wilkesboro race. And also, we've seen this in F1, so it's going to add layers of strategy to the pit stops. It might actually, for once, make the stages sort of interesting, because you could come in on that last stage before the stage before the last segment starts, and it'll be interesting to see what the teams come out with tire-wise as far as that go. Will the option tires last long enough to change them twice in that last run, or will you have to mix in a regular tire in there to go with that? So yeah, it's going to add layers of strategy. I think it's going to be good overall, and I think it's going to be a much better product, like I said, because it's a much longer race than the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro was, so you're going to actually have time to have that tire fall off. So it'll be interesting to see, and I'm hoping they made the tire softer this time too, so there is more, both tires softer, so there is more fall off, and you have to actually risk it and gamble it. The other tire should be significantly faster. But I'm interested to know what you guys think. Let me know down below if you think the option tire is a good idea, a bad idea, or maybe you're neutral, you could care less either way. Yeah, would love to know what you guys think about it down below. Bologna Burger from the future here. One more thing I wanted to add that I forgot to put in here on this rant was you can't mix the tires. So you have to be either all option tire or all prime tire. You can't run half option, half prime. So there will be no two tire stops at the end. If you want to switch compounds, you got to do all four. This from J-Ski. Fox Sports' Bob Pockrass reports that Legacy Motor Club has made a couple of personnel changes. Bobby Kennedy has moved to general manager. Joey Cohen, formerly the competition director, has left the team. And there you see Bob Pockrass' tweet right there. So interesting movement there. Legacy hasn't had the season that they wanted. They did run good at last race at Pocono, at least the 43 team did. I know John Hunter Nemechek got caught up in a crash or a wreck or whatever, big surprise there. But yeah, the 43 car did run good, which hadn't been the norm, so maybe those changes were made beforehand. Maybe they'll make some more changes going forward, but either way, they need to get back on the 8-ball because they have been off this year so far, so maybe some positive news for them going forward. Also via J-Ski, Daniel Suarez to race in the NASCAR Brazil Series. NASCAR announced today that the NASCAR Cup Series driver Daniel Suarez will plan to compete in the NASCAR Brazil Series Special Edition, a tournament that runs parallel to the main competition behind the wheel of a Chevrolet Camaro at Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. I don't know. I'm not good at speaking English, much less Spanish. Better known as Intergalos, the weekend of August 2nd through the 4th. So there you go. During the Olympic break, that's something you'll have to look forward to. Daniel Suarez is going to be down there because he is getting married. So he's getting married in Brazil, and that's why he's down there. Let's take a look further at the article. I'm excited to have the opportunity to compete in the NASCAR Brazil Series, said Suarez. Not only is this an opportunity to try something new, but with my fiance's family roots in Brazil, it gives me a chance to race in a place she calls home. I'm equally excited to support all the people at NASCAR who have helped me along my journey to the NASCAR Cup Series. Hopefully, we can have some fun and bring some attention to the series from outside Brazil along the way. So that will be a super cool thing to follow. I know NASCAR Brazil has a YouTube channel. I'll try to look up and see if there's a way that people in the United States or whatever can watch this series, because like I said, the Olympics will be on, and if you're not interested in the Olympics and you want to see some motorsports, there you go. That's one that you can watch, and I know the ARCA series will also be running during the Olympic break. One final story before we jump off here. Hailie Deegan will be racing in the IROC exhibition at Lime Rock Park. So when that happens, she will be there. And also, she's going to be running this next weekend against Ken Schrader in the Trans Am Series, also at Lime Rock Park. So Hailie Deegan getting the seat time in, trying to stay active while she looks for her new ride, no matter where that will be. She has been linked to IndyCar with Andretti, possibly, or something over there. And she was at Pocono, so she is probably still looking for an Xfinity Series ride. Dale Jr. had some Dale Jr. had some kind words to say about her, so maybe Dale Jr. is looking at her. I could see a situation where the Haas Xfinity team works with her to build her up. And Dale Jr.'s sentiment was basically she needs to be in a situation with a veteran team where they can build her up, whereas AM Racing wasn't the greatest situation for her because they were a brand new team with a rookie driver that was destined for disaster. That's essentially what Dale Jr. said. And I take his word for it because look at all the people that he's put up into the Cup Series champions and stuff like that. So I feel like he's got a pretty good eye for talent. So I guess I do think he knows what he's talking about there. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you in this one. If you made it this far, I would love to have your subscription. If you want to watch the live stream, we're going live at 8 p.m. tonight. If you already subscribed, you know I appreciate you guys as well. If you want to help out the channel, visit the merch store. If you got a question or comment, leave it down in the comment section. I try to get to as many of them as possible. And other than that, see you at the live stream tonight. Or not. Peace.